Okay, this is something I found as fairly interesting today. This is a site from Honeywell, and it's about the low GWP refrigerants that are coming up, and mainly Honeywell's name for it is Solstice, yeah, and they're the HFO and HFO's blends. Okay, let's see. And I want to get to this page here, and this is what kind of got me a bit excited to see this. These are your refrigerant ranges, the medium temperature range, and let's see if I can zoom in a little bit for you. So you can read this better. It says medium temperature refrigeration. Right now the current products are 134A, and it has a GWP, that's the global warming potential, of 1300. They put a ceiling on it of 4000, so 134 is well within the 4000, but they still want to tighten that up even. They want to lower that 4000 ceiling down to, I'm not sure where, but that's now this Honeywell's N13 is a replacement. It's got a 547 global warming potential. That's pretty good. They've come out with these refrigerants, and these are mildly flammable refrigerants, which I don't particularly want to play around with. I can see somebody getting their face burned or arms burned seriously. I really don't think that's a good idea at this point in time. I would like to stay away from these refrigerants. I realize that some of the Pepsi coolers and True manufacturers and equipment manufacturers are coming out with these systems right now to keep powers that be happy. But this looks pretty good as a replacement for 134A. But what gets me excited is this one right here. This caught my eye. I mean, this sounds, if it's as good as it sounds, it's too good to be true. It's Solstice, Honeywell's Solstice N40, which is R448A, and it's got a global warming potential of 1273, which is a little bit lower than the 13. But I don't know if they're going to, clamp down on that in the future. But here's the thing, and this is the beauty of this here, is it replaces R22 in air conditioning systems and refrigeration systems. It replaces 404 in low temperature freezers and medium temperature coolers. It's one refrigerant that takes care of AC, high temp, low temp, and medium temp. It's one bottle of refrigerant to do everything, low, medium, and high. I mean that's fantastic. And since it's got a global warming potential of 1273, which is better than the global warming potential of 410A. Now, I don't know the efficiency here, if this is more efficient as far as kilowatts goes, but if this is comparable, I can see this replacing 410A in air conditioning systems at this point, because it's a lower GWP. So that kind of looks pretty good. Now, here's some of the benefits. We'll go over that in a minute, next page. But that's great. This is 448A. Now what I did was I called my 3 supply houses around in Cleveland area near me here, and one of them had this in the large 100-pound bottles, and nobody had it in the small 24-pound bottles yet. But one supply house had it on their inventory to get it fairly soon, so I told him to get some in and let me know when he has it, because I definitely want to dive into this one right here. I mean, look at that. 1 bottle in my truck instead of 12 I have now, or something like that. I don't know. I have reclaimed bottles and you know, MP39s, 409s, 408s, 422Ds, 134A, 404, 407C, 407F. I mean, it's driving me crazy. All these bottles, a lot of weight, and it's taking up a lot of room. 1 bottle will handle high temp, medium temp, and low temp. It's fantastic. It runs on POE oil. Now I'll show you, and there's more benefits to it. If it's as good as it sounds. I mean, it's the proof's in the pudding. You have to get some and try it out. Now this is the N13, which is the R448A replacement. It shows the composition. It's R1234ZE plus R134A, 58% and 42% mixture. They haven't picked a color for it yet. And down here it gives the global warming potential number, the glide, the capacity, and efficiency. So it looks like it could be a pretty good replacement for. There's a lot of systems out there that 134A replaced R12 systems. A lot of old systems around yet. So this will be viable for a while, especially if they put the clamps on 134A. They want to get the GWP down. I mean, that's a pretty good drop from 13 down to 547, and that would mean that you could use that on the Pepsi coolers. They wouldn't need the flammable refrigerants that they've come out with. Let's see. These mildly flammable refrigerants. One's 300 GWP, one's 150, and one's 600. So you're right in that range with this 547. It's right in there. These are lower, but still, I'd rather not have that, you know, not burn my hand or my face, you know. That's what I'm concerned about. Or start a fire in the store. You know, that would be even worse. Get a lot of dust sometimes under the units, and you go to braise. You know, it could be, you could have a smoky, fiery situation. Now this is the interesting one here, N40, which is the 448, and it's the replacement for 404 and 22. It's made, composition is 1234YF, 1234ZE, R32, R125, R134, and here's the percentages. 20%, 7%, 26, 26, and 21. Now there's a potential problem here that I'm not 100% on yet. I'd like to see where this goes. Now I was worried about 134 and 404 in the past, but they didn't really pan out, and this is the problem. You've got 4 gases, is a mixture, and it's 100%, and these are the percentages of each gas. If the system goes on a defrost cycle for an hour and the system just shuts off, and you end up with these gases, these 5 gases, sitting in an evaporator coil. You have the expansion valve, then you have the first couple rungs of tubing, which might house, say, just hypothetically, this is the first refrigerant gas. They say they separate, So you have it separate into layers. So the first layer near the expansion valve would be 1, 2, 3, 4 YF. The next one, the next one, the next one, next one, all the way down the evaporator coil. Say there's a refrigerant leak on the flare nut on the expansion valve, and there's that happens a lot of times. It's very common. Well, every time this, and say it's a small bubbling leak that you don't lose all the gas in one shot. Say it's a leak that would take 2 or 3 or 4 weeks to notice that the temperature's off in the case. And now, which means is this refrigerant is 20% of the mixture, and if this refrigerant is, when the system shuts off for an hour, this is the refrigerant next to the flare nut, inside the flare nut of the expansion valve, and this one would be what would be leaking out, and it's 20% of the mixture. And gases, every time the system goes on the frost and the gases separate into layers in the evaporator coil, and the gas leaks, this gas leaks out of the flare nut, and say you lose 15% of this gas, and then 3 or 4 weeks later you get a service call and you come onto the system and you see it's down 15%. It's got bubbles in the sight glass, and you need to put gas in the system. Now if you put 448 on top of this, you're not going to get the exact mixture here. You're going to get 15% more of each one of these, but now you're down 15% here, and you put the 20% in on top of it, so you're not going to end up with the exact formula. So now the system will be, instead of, say it's a cooler, a beer cooler or something, instead of the system running at 37 degrees, you're going to be running at 41 degrees, and you begin wondering why you can't get it down any colder than 41 degrees. Well, that's my concern about this many refrigerants mixed together. I was concerned about 134 like that, and 404 and some of the other ones, but it didn't really seem to anything. I never really ran into anything noticeable. The only problem I ever had with refrigerants was I bought 134A at Sam's Club automotive section, and it was, I don't know, it was like $50 cheaper than my supply house, so I bought a whole bunch of it there, and I used it, and the systems that I put it in, they were running 41, 44 degrees instead of 37 degrees. And at one point I had a capillary tube broke on a pressure control, and all the gas leaked out, and I went and bought some local made in America refrigerant and put it in there, and the system went immediately from 44 degrees right down to 37 degrees and shut off. So that showed me that Chinese refrigerant didn't have the right percentages. The mixture was incorrect on that particular refrigerant, and so Sam's Club stopped selling it after that. So people around the country must have been having a problem. But anyways, let's see. It says here that it matches, improves capacity over 22 and 404. Now 404 has had good capacity in the past. I'm very happy with the capacity of this. Systems will get cold very quickly and shut off quickly, and it saves energy. And this is saying here, and if this hype is, if it lives up to this hype, it says here that this refrigerant will be better than 404, which that's got my ears up right there. It says this 448A has the best energy performance of any A1 refrigerant. It's got the lowest GWP of any A1 refrigerant. It's got acceptable discharge temperatures, and extends the operating envelope. Now that's pretty important right there. Some of the R22 Copeland condensing units out there, the semi-hermetic condensing units. The problem I've had is if changing them from R22 to 404, the condensers were a bit on the small side and my head pressures would be high. So this is what I want to see, if I can get a lower head pressure with this refrigerant. That would be pretty happy. It says it takes POE oil, which is, that's fine. And it has a similar glide to 407A and 407F. It's a 7-degree glide. Now, a few years ago I didn't understand what glide meant, and there was another refrigeration man at a supply house competition, and he was using a refrigerant, I think it was 414, something like that. And I was asking him why he was using that as an R12 replacement. And he said, well, you don't have to change the oil, and it has a low glide on it. So I asked him what he meant by glide, and he says, well, it means glide. He didn't, in other words, he didn't know what it meant. He was just using the term because it sounded good. But what the glide is when these gases go into the evaporator or into the, say they go into the condenser, each gas will condense at a different point in the condenser. And so they go into the condenser, I don't know, just hypothetically, if they go into the condenser at, say, 227 degrees, and the heat is taken out of the gas, say it's down to 200 or 207 degrees at that point, then one refrigerant will hit its dew point and go into, will turn into a liquid, its vapor point, and go into a liquid, and then the next one will hit its vapor point and go into liquid, the next one, and next one. Well, it's as the temperature drops in the condenser, it's the difference from, say, 207 down to 200, and it's in that zone there that they turn into a liquid, go from a gas to a liquid. And that difference is 7 degrees on this refrigerant, which is pretty nice. Fundamentally, what it all means is if you have a high glide, it means the head pressure is going to be higher because it's taken that much more of using up that much of the condenser to convert from a liquid to a gas. Refrigerant 134A has a zero glide because it's it's a single gas component, and right at one point it turns from a gas to a liquid. So that's a very small temperature glide. Refrigerant 12 was like that too. Refrigerants that were mixtures like 502 and all the hydrofluorocarbons, hydrochlorofluorocarbons they all were mixtures of gas. This one has quite a few gases in it. I'm a little bit concerned about that. A lot of refrigerants are just like 3, maybe 4 refrigerants. This has 5. But that's what glide is. It's just a matter of turning the gas into a liquid. That's zone, that span. And if that glide is high, that span is high, your head pressure is going to be higher. And if the glide is low, your head pressure will be lower. That's fundamentally what that means. I mean, I'm sure some of you out there have a little bit more input on that, and I'd like to hear it. That'd be appreciated. Let's see. This just shows the capacity and efficiency and the global warming potential numbers between the refrigerants 404A, 407A, Performax. I use that quite a bit. R22 and the new 448. And here's the range is 404. Like I said, the ceiling was 4,000. Global warming potential number is 4,000, and 404A is coming in right at the ceiling, and they want to lower that potential number. I'm not sure where they want to lower it to, but that's the problem with 404. That's why it's on its way out, unfortunately. Now there's the Performax, the 407F. which is pretty good. I mean, it's not too bad actually. This is the number is not bad, 1674, which is not too far away from 1273. The deciding factor on using this mainly is going to be the price. If this costs 100 to 150, and this comes out at 250, this isn't going to sell. Nobody's going to use it. This has to come out in this price range here, or even a little bit lower. This will sell like hotcakes then. But I just hope they don't. A lot of times when they come out with a new product, the price is high on it. I checked around at supply houses today, and one supply house had it in the 100-pound bottles, and I think it was like $1,008, which I think equates, divided by 4, with 24-pound bottles would be, I'm not sure what it is, but it's $200 and something, 200 and, was it $50 a bottle, which is high, and I don't see using it if it's $250. Just fundamentally, if this is $100, $150 in that range, $125, and this is $225, you can make more money selling this. So who's going to buy this? So that's the importance of them getting this down in our price range where we can use it. Sounds great. Let's see what we have here is that's Bitzer. This is Emerson test results. And this is it's low temperature test results, medium temperature test results. The orange is the 404A, and the N40 is the blue. And it shows that the condensing temperatures, it shows the N40 has 3% lower energy consumption than 404, and that's on low temp, and medium temp is 3 to 8% lower according to this. And let me see, these test results are that's N40. This is a comparison. I think this is COP, coefficients of power, energy consumption. The N40 and the 404. Let's see. It says that the N40 over the 404A has reduced compressor power by 3.7%, increased refrigeration capacity by 7.5%. That's good. Increase COP, coefficient of power, I guess that's the kilowatts, by 11.6%. So it's more efficient, and it gets the job done sooner and shuts the system off sooner. So that's kind of that's a big plus. And 404 is pretty efficient as it is. I'm pretty happy with 404. This is your Hussmann distributed cases, used it in low temp and medium temper scroll compressors, and it shows the energy saving. The 448 is the gray, and the R404. So it looks. It says Hussmann's results in the supermarket cases show a 16% lower energy consumption. That's Hussmann's findings. So that's pretty good. To do a retrofit, you just recover the refrigerant, evaluate the expansion devices. Most TXVs need adjustment, a little bit closed, so that'll be interesting. And then electronic, TXVs and such. And it says replace the dryer filter and the oil system filters, evacuate and check for leaks, charge the system with the Solstice plus 4%. Set the controller, the pressure controls for a little bit different change. And this is matching to the N40, matching to R22 capacities, which is close. It says no TXV adjustments are made on the R22 valves. It says similar performance to R22. It matches the capacity of R22 in both medium and low temperatures. This is pretty much the same thing as I just went through. And it's pressure temperature charts. It says available on Apple and Android. That's what you go, the Honeywell apps. You can go to your your app thing on on your cell phone, Play Store. And this is GenPro software. It's a free download from Honeywell refrigerants.com. You can get this right here. And it's kind of interesting. You type in the refrigerant, the low temperature. It'll give you, let's see, that's the compressor, the condenser. It'll give you the outlet subcooling factor. I guess this one's in centigrade, but you can, I'm sure you can change it to Fahrenheit, and it'll give you temperature settings and pressure drops or whatever. It's kind of interesting. Sometimes you spend too much time paging through those apps, and you get your work done quick enough. And a charge label. And this is Solstice R40, and it just tells pretty much what the replacements for. This is R22 404 HB80 uses 134. You use, instead of N40, you use N13, and MP39 you'd use N13. So this sounds, these are two refrigerants that I'm looking forward to you know, checking out. It sounds good to me so far, but of course, you know, some of these spiffy dudes, the engineers, tend to come up with you know, over exaggerate a little bit, or over like 422D sounded good on this, you know, on line here. But by actually using it, I was disappointed in it. So that's something I'm not 100% sold on, but it looks really good at this point. Another concern that I had was since the compressor amps is going to be a lot lower, are the compressor manufacturers going to fool around with motor windings, you know, to save money? You know, instead of using copper windings, they're going to go to aluminum. I hope they don't do that. It might work fine for the first year, but year number 4 and 5, you might have, you know, a lot of burnouts, and you got aluminum dust or whatever in the system. And I just hope they don't, that spiffy dude, that engineer, doesn't mess around. You know, that light bulb doesn't go on in his head, over his head there, and he tries to, you know, save the company, you know, $1 million, and end up costing the company $2 million in compressor returns. So, or smaller motor windings, you end up getting in trouble with, you know, heat loads. But that's what I want to show today. It's something I just noticed online, and it all really looks pretty good to me at this point. And this is the chart that I really was happy to see. This is N40 is good for air conditioning, low temp, and medium temp refrigeration. So one refrigerant, all three. And I like to stay away from these mildly flammable refrigerants. I really hope they don't, you know, get a foothold in the system over the years. a lot of stuff like this always comes out. There's always something new, and usually guys like me that have used this stuff quite a bit, they've been out in the field a long time, they'll usually quickly zero in on the objects that work good, you know, just because of past experiences with similar products. And there's been a lot of different products, from tools and refrigerants and gases and everything else over the years. Okay guys, that's all I wanted to say. Later.